where Iran has said that it has reopened the Strait of Hormuz, and this has resulted in a barrage of messages and celebrations from the American President Donald Trump. Now, Abbas Araghchi, in fact, put out a post on social media saying that the strait is open. He also specified that commercial vessels should pass through the coordinated route announced by Iran's Ports and Maritime Organization. And this appears to be the nub of this issue here. He also noted that the route is open for the duration of the ceasefire with the United States, which is due to expire on the 22nd of April. The American President Donald Trump has acknowledged Iran's statement. However, he added that the U.S. blockade on Iranian ports is still in effect. He said that this will remain until the U.S. transaction with Iran is concluded. And this likely refers to a peace deal for which another round of talks are expected soon. Now, Trump claims that the process should go ahead quickly and that most of the points are already negotiated.
U.S. Navy Warship 115 requests you return to original port of call in Iran. How copy? Over.
Copy, sir. Thank you very much. Copy, sir. Me alter to Iran. Thank you.
And around the time when Donald Trump put out that message, the U.S. Central Command released footage purportedly showing as to how it is enforcing the blockade. Now, Trump also went on to put up several other social media posts. He's thanked Pakistan and the American allies in the Gulf. He criticized the NATO military alliance, calling the NATO alliance to be useless and a paper tiger. And he also said that it was a great and a brilliant day for the world. Trump has also claimed that Iran is working to remove all the sea mines that it had placed in the Hormuz Strait. He said that it was doing so with American help. And then Trump claimed that Iran had agreed to never close the strait again. Now, Trump put out 10 social media posts in the span of little more than an hour. So it seems that he believes that a deal is just around the corner. However, there have been some contradictory reports about the contents of any such deal. Trump had recently claimed that Iran has agreed to hand over its enriched uranium to the United States.
Very important is that Iran does not have a nuclear weapon, and they've agreed to that. Iran's agreed to that, and they've agreed to it very powerfully. They've agreed to give us back the nuclear dust that's way underground because of the attack we made with the B-2 bombers. So we have a lot of agreement with Iran, and I think something's going to happen very positive.
Now, Trump has, of course, reiterated that claim, and he further added that no money will be changing hands. However, reports citing Iranian sources say that gaps remain to be resolved between the two sides. The reports say that the U.S. proposed a 20-year suspension of all Iranian nuclear activity during last weekend's talks, but Tehran has suggested a halt of 3 to 5 years. Iran has also demanded that the international sanctions on its oil should be lifted. Iran is also to react on Donald Trump's continuation of the American blockade, despite it having declared the Strait of Hormuz to be open. And the reason Iran gave for the reopening of the strait is the ceasefire in Lebanon between Israel and Hezbollah. However, just hours ago, Israel's defense minister said that its operations in Lebanon are not complete yet.
Lebanon in the midst of a war against Hezbollah. With a frozen situation and a 10-day ceasefire, the IDF holds and continues to hold all the locations it has cleared and captured. The ground maneuver into Lebanon and the strikes on Hezbollah throughout Lebanon have achieved many gains, but they are still not complete.
However, Trump has also issued a pretty stern rebuke to Israel. He's put up a post saying that Israel has been prohibited from bombing Lebanon. He also added that enough is enough. We'll have to wait and see if Israel complies and for how long. The Iran-US ceasefire is scheduled to expire by the 22nd of April. The Israel-Lebanon ceasefire is in place for just a span of 10 days. If either is allowed to expire without a broader deal in place, the Strait of Hormuz could be blocked once again. All right, and my colleague Susan Tehrani is still with us from New York. So, Susan, today is, of course, the 17th of April. The ceasefire is in place till the 22nd. So that gives us about 5 days of ticking time to see whether a deal can actually be reached. Otherwise, everything goes back to square one. What are you picking up at your end vis-a-vis how close Iran and the United States are to striking a deal?
So according to U.S. officials, they are close. But Mohammed, this is one of those situations where the devil's in the detail. The president talks about, quote, nuclear dust. But then there's the question of centrifuges. The Iranians say that they have agreed not to produce a nuclear weapon, but they've always agreed that. And then international monitoring verification failed to verify that in the past. So once these details are hammered out, I think we'll get a better understanding on whether or not there is even any kind of semblance to a path to peace. But nonetheless, it does appear that the two sides are willing to perhaps negotiate in one way or the other in good faith before the ceasefire ends. U.S. officials say they have not put out a formal request to extend the current ceasefire. And U.S. officials also were very adamant in saying that the Reuters report that claimed that the U.S. wants a 20-year pause and Iran wants a 5-year pause is absolutely false. And the president continues to say that there is no timetable or timeline. He just wants Iran to never have a nuclear weapon, essentially debunking those reports that were cited by Iranian sources.
Interesting. We'll have to see as to how this unfolds. Thank you very much, Susan Tehrani, for joining us with those updates then. For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.